Hola chicos, welcome back to another video. I'm Christian and I'm moving to Spain, and this is Chris in Spain. So today I'm gonna talk about the train system in Spain, or public transport in general maybe. And also compare a little bit to Denmark and other countries I have tried public transport in up until now. So to get right into it, Spain has trains and buses and even many different kind of trains. Normal stational trains, regional trains, fast trains, lightning trains, also metros. They have that a lot as of what I have seen. I have been to Barcelona, where they have lots of metros. When I was in Barcelona, I have never seen so many metros in my life. And still up until today, I have still not seen that many metros in my life, in real life at least. But I have studied a lot about Madrid recently, because I moved to Madrid, so that makes sense, correct? And Madrid has even more metros than Barcelona, it seems. And people are saying that too. And I've also been to Costa del Sol in Andalusia. And on Costa del Sol they have this little local train, I will call it. I will call it a quite normal stational train maybe, where it goes from, it pretty much only stops once in each city on Costa del Sol, but it stops in every single city on the way. So it's pretty much just going straight at the coastline of Costa del Sol, and then it goes from one city to the next, through either the east or the west, which way you're going, whatever, you know, and stops at every city. One stop in the middle of the city, pretty much at least, and that's it. So quite fast, because again it only stops once in each city, so it's not like a very local train that stops way too much, like every single minute. It's not like that, but it is pretty fast, so it doesn't take a lot of time to go from one station to the next. So that was pretty useful when you was down there. Also the cities are very walkable. Some cities are really big, like Benalmádena is unbelievably big when you actually look into the details. It seems like it's just a little coastal city that actually also big from one side of the beach to the other side of the beach, but actually there's a full mountain inside Benalmádena too. You can live up on the side of the mountain. There's many kilometers up onto the top of that mountain, so very big. And when you are on top of the mountain, you cannot get to the train by walking, I would say. But then they have some buses. I've not tried the buses that much, but I guess they worked. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of buses, so you have to know the bus stations, because you don't really fall over them accidentally. So you have to know where the buses go from and to, and then again the rest of the city are very walkable, so quite easy to walk from the bus station you get off to the place you're going. So what I'm saying is, it can often be like a kilometer to 1.5 kilometers or something from the bus station to the destination, the nearest bus station of course to the destination. Or the other way around, of course, but that's not a problem when you are in Benalmádena, because it's a city where you love to walk around. It's not a boring city to walk in. And I know that it's easy to say when you are from a whole other country, and it's like 1,000 kilometers more south than your own home. It will always be exciting, but I have lived in Benalmádena for more than a month, and that's not a lot, but it kept being exciting to walk around the city. And also I met a lot of native people and expats that have lived there multiple years, and they also still love to walk around the city. So it is a very walkable city, and many people love to walk around that city. So people will not have a problem with walking 1 or 2 kilometers, or maybe even 10 kilometers sometimes. But to walk like 50 kilometers, that may be a problem. Then you need a bus. And then maybe only a few buses, but it works for these few times you have to use them. And again, I didn't really have any problem. They went on time, at least close enough to it not be a problem, and going straight to where it should, no problem there. So that's also fine. And the trains also, they was on time every time. There was no problem with them stopping in the middle of nowhere or something strange like that. No problems I have experienced, at least. Barcelona, I didn't use the metro a lot, but I walked a lot in the city, and you cannot walk. You can always see a metro stop. I'm always telling about that like this, because you can stand on the streets looking around. You will always see one metro stop. And if you walk away from that metro stop, at the point where you can't see it anymore behind you, you can see a new one in front of you. That's my experience of Barcelona. It's maybe not true. There's maybe some places where you can see a metro stop, but it's like almost impossible to find a street corner where you can stand and look all around you and not see a single metro stop. That's how many they have. They even have the biggest square in Barcelona. I don't remember the name, whatever. They have 5 metro stops on that square. I don't know why or how it works, but it's just amazing how much metro there is in Barcelona. And then Madrid, I have not been to Madrid yet, at least, but I have seen a lot and looked at the map, and the metros there are also incredible. It also looks like you cannot go many hundreds of meters without getting to the nearest metro stop. They have 13 metros as of 2021, I think. I saw the statistic. I have not heard about they should make a new one, so they probably still have 13 metros. And they go mostly inside the M30, but some of them also go outside the M30. And I think very few are actually only outside the M30, or most of them are outside the M30 highway, if you didn't get what I mean. So if we just talk about inside the M30 highway, where we have this kind of oval shape where most of the city is, all the tourist areas, and where all the city life is really happening, you know. Which is still quite big. I think that's 10 kilometers across or something. But also not in width. It's like with like 4-5 kilometers maybe. But inside that, the metros are pretty much just scrambled around all directions. And that's actually a good thing, because when it becomes too systematic, it actually doesn't work anymore. Random is a good thing with train system I have experienced and discovered. So it's actually a good thing it is this random, because I can compare to Denmark, where the trains we have in Denmark, it's pretty much just Copenhagen, and then we have the cities close to Copenhagen. And Copenhagen is kind of a coastal town. Do not call that because we don't really use it. But there is some beaches and some marines, but it doesn't really feel like a coastal town in the same way as something in Spain will do. It's a whole other way, but it is out to the coast. So we have that, and then we have all the. I should actually do it opposite, so you will see. So we have it here to the west, and then we have all the cities in this direction, north, south, and east. So a lot of cities going on here, and then the train system goes pretty much like this. We have one here, here, and here. That's pretty much it. That's how the trains is. So that means from Copenhagen, you can go out to almost every single city in this close proximity of Copenhagen. And no matter which city you live in, if you're quite close to Copenhagen at least, you will have a train go directly to Copenhagen. But where the problem starts is when I go from my city and I need to go to this city in the north or to the south. It's really close, but I can't because there's no trains going there. There's no trains going in the circumference of these cities. So you have to go into Copenhagen and then go out again. That's actually the fastest way because we have buses. But even this short distance, you have to take 3 different buses. I can take a bus directly to Copenhagen, which doesn't make sense because we got to take a train. But I can take a bus if I want it the hard way. But that goes directly to Copenhagen, so that's only 1 bus. This little step, that's like a fifth of the distance. I have to take 3 buses. Because there's a lot of buses in my city, going around in my city, but not a lot of buses going out in my city. There's one going to Copenhagen, and then there's probably one other going out in my city, but that's not going to the city I need, that's going to another one. So I have to go there, and then I have to take another bus, and then I have to take a 3rd bus to actually get to my destination. Where I could actually just take a train to Copenhagen, and then take another train, so 2 trains, and get to my destination. And that's why it's faster by train to Copenhagen, and also because trains are faster than buses. So the system just straight up doesn't work. It only works if you have to go to or from Copenhagen, pretty much. Where in Madrid is also a different story because Madrid is one city. But it's like Madrid is the size of Copenhagen plus all the other cities I'm talking about. So that's why it's comparable to how that works. So it will be like if Madrid have a train going from Sol and then out to every single other barrio neighborhood, it's called in English. I'm searching apartment in Spanish right now, and I'm like, I also have my Danish language to think about, so I have like, I'm seeing the Spanish apartments, languages, words thing, I see that so much. And it's hard to remember what's Danish, what English anymore because I see so much Spanish. So it's like I'm just saying a word on whatever language and I just think about it afterwards. But yeah, if you have a train going to every single neighborhood from Sol, which is the center, by the way, then that will be like Denmark. But then the problem is if you're going from Chambéry to Malasanne, you can't because you can go to Sol and then go out again. That would be stupid, but not how they have made it. And they have not even made it so to go through all the bios and all the bios are connected. No, they made it totally random. They just scramble around, perfectly random. So there's metros pretty much all over the place. And people saying, I've not tried it, but I tried it at Barcelona and that's the best system I have tried up until now. And people saying that this Madrid metro system is even better than Barcelona, and many people say it's the best in the world. All people that have talked about it, I have heard and talk about what's the best, have said that Madrid's metro system is the best in the world, at least of what they have tried, because nobody have tried every single system in the world, and you cannot know it without trying it. But the people that try the Madrid system, they are saying it's the best they have tried. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think it will be true for me because again, Barcelona is the best one I've tried and people saying it's better than Barcelona. So it must be the best one I've tried. And it seems, when I look at it on the map, it seems like it's actually a pretty clever way to design a metro system. And there's a lot. The thing is there's a lot. So if they're on time, which people say they are, that's pretty nice. Talking about on time, that's the thing, because in Denmark, the trains are never on time. Like, for real, never. I cannot remember the last time I have actually tried a train being on time. Like normally it's 2 minutes late or 2 minutes early. Or 1 minute late or 1 minute early, like something like that. 1 or 2 minutes too early or too late. And often also 3-4 minutes will be very common. So somewhere in between that, that's like the normal of our trains. Then it's also very normal to have these more permanent late, where they will tell you in the speakers that the train will be late for the next couple of months or something, and also maybe there will be fewer trains for a month or so. Often trains get cancelled in Denmark. Like I can say it in another way, you can almost not take the train without them being at least one little bit of a problem. And often I have tried up to 3-4 I've tried up to 3-4 problems, different single problems on the same trip with a train. Like if I have to switch to another train or bus, I've experienced problem with every single train or bus I have used on that trip. multiple times. So it's like, it's not an exaggeration to say there are problems more often than not in Denmark. And that's very interesting because I have actually almost never tried a single problem when I have used the public transport in other countries. I think I had tried a problem once where a bus came late. But that's like, a bus cannot go on time in Denmark. So I am actually more surprised that other buses in other countries come on time. So I've tried this system in Berlin, and that's pretty good too. That was the best system I tried before Barcelona, and that works quite cleverly too. They have like this train that goes in a circle around this kind of center part of Berlin, like 60%, so very big part. And then you have the Berlin on the outside of that circular train, and you can take it in both directions, of course. So don't have to go all the way around every time. And then they have a middle thing, straight here on the long side. So I have a circle and a middle train, and that you can take in these two directions. And that's pretty much what they got of trains. And that's pretty nice because the city is also very walkable. And it's very simple, again, because you just have the circle and the line in the middle. So you use the circle if you have to go somewhere here, and you use the line if you are located close to the end and you have to go to the other end. So you could use the line as a shortcut instead of going around here, so it will be like half the length physically and a third of the stops or something like that. And also you use the line if you have to go to the middle, but you can also just walk from here, so it depends. If you're here, you can use the line to go to the middle. If you're here, you can just take the train to the nearest stop here and then walk. So again, very simple and works. So yeah, it just works. So why change it, I guess. Also the tickets are cheap and easy to find, easy to figure out and get the right one for you, so you get the right so you get the right price and don't pay too much for an over-certified ticket when you need a lesser one. And that's also an interesting thing because the tickets in Denmark are extremely expensive. I actually think we have the most expensive train system in the world. Like to go 17 kilometers, like from here to Copenhagen, you pay like 9 euros or something like that for a ticket, one-way ticket. You can also do a lot of other things, and that's where it gets really complicated. And that could be a video for itself about the Danish train system, but you can mostly pay. It will not be an exaggeration to say that you have at least 5 different ways to pay for the same route in Denmark, and they not cost the same. And which one is cheapest? Well, it depends sometimes, and sometimes one is always the cheapest. But the one that's cheapest is also the hardest one to get, and a very complicated system. In Madrid, I have heard that you can buy a ticket, a one-way ticket, and then you can go to every single station on this 13 metro line system. So no matter if you have to go from the furthest point to the other furthest point in the whole Madrid metro system, it will still only cost you €1.5 for that single ticket. So that's pretty clever, and you cannot really go wrong. If you have to take one stop on the metro line, it'll be €1.5. If you have to go to the other end of Madrid, it'll be €1.5. That maybe sounds unfair if you have to take a short trip, but again, it's very cheap, so you cannot really complain. If you have to only go one stop, I will say walk instead, because they are so close together. I will say you will need at least 5 stops, but that's a personal opinion. That's if you like walking or not. But you will need at least 5 stops before it makes sense to take the metro anyway, so you only use the metro when you go long anyway. and it's nice that you can go from the one end to the other without paying extra. So it's very easy to figure out. There's other options too. You can get a card, a monthly card. It depends on your age and maybe other things too. Don't remember, but I know that if you're under 26 years old, you can get the cheapest one, which is like don't remember, it's like 20 or 25 euros for 1 month, and then you can take the train or the metro at least as much as you want in that month. I think you get on a service or renew yourself every month and take your money. Yeah, so quite easy also, and it's way cheaper. At least if you use it every day, it's cheaper. It's not if you don't. You calculate quite easy that a trip is 1.5 euros, so 2 trips is 3 euros. So 20 trips will be 30 euros. So if you take like 20 trips a month, you already save 10 euros or 5 euros or something by taking this monthly card. So 15-20 trips a month, and then you will pay yourself. And that sounds like how the system should work. It makes sense. If you only take 5 trips, one-way ticket is the way to go. If you take more than 5 trips, or 15 trips, it makes sense that a monthly card will be better. Also, the thing is, in Madrid, you're living, in Spain in general, you're living a lot of the life like outside, and you're walking along the city, you're going from one tapas bar to another sometimes. Not to make too much of a cliché about Madrid people only eating tapas all day, but I'm just mentioning an example. Like if you maybe go to another tapas bar, and maybe you know the tapas bar, so maybe you want to go to your favorite tapas bar, and maybe your favorite tapas bar on the other end of the city. So what I'm saying is that you can use the metro like 5 times in one day, actually. I don't remember how the ticket works exactly, but I think it's like you have 1 hour. So you can go everywhere from 1 hour with 1.5 euro. So you can probably turn around on your trip and go back again if you're really fast, but then you cannot do anything. So if you're actually going from one way to another place and you are doing something, you can still use like 5 tickets in a day. So if you are that heavy of a user, you can easily burn up your 1.5 euro tickets, and you will need a card just after 5 days. You will have saved by having this card. So this card is really, really useful for many people, so that's nice. You can also buy 10 trip tickets. It's cheaper than this one-way ticket, of course. I think a 10 trip ticket are like 13 euros or something like that. Or maybe it was only 10. Somewhere between 10 and 13 euros. And if you can calculate just a little bit in your head, you already know that if it's 1.5 euro per ticket, it will be 15 euros for 10 tickets. So it's cheaper than 15 euros, so you do save money by taking a 10 trip card, which makes sense because why should they have it? And that's something where you go to the ticket thing and then you stamp it or something. I believe it's a physical thing, and you can see it physically on it if you have used it or not. But enough about the Madrid train system for this video, because I also want to talk about the rest of Spain a little bit. Now I'm talking about some of the biggest cities in Spain and how does it work in the biggest clusters of population in Spain, but also there's the rest of Spain. Spain is a very big country, and what happens when you get outside Madrid and Barcelona, maybe in between, when you get to this middle part of the country? Well, pretty much there's no public transport at all anymore. And that's actually quite normal, because it's like that in Denmark too. Such a little country like Denmark, with so many trains actually in the capital area. We have like no trains when you get out of this zone close to the capitals. Like we have these regional trains going to just the biggest cities, but from there you pretty much have to walk. There is buses, but not a lot when you get outside this capital area. So actually, the places where we have the least amount of trains, we also have the least amount of buses. So pretty much you're screwed if you get out of this capital area. You need a car. That's pretty much how it is. And it's the same thing in Spain again. If you live in these more rural areas, not in the big cities, not in the biggest cities even, you need a car. But also cars are pretty cheap in Spain. And they're cheap to own because they don't really pay any tax just to own it like we do in Denmark. So it's pretty cheap to have a car in Spain. So if you live in these rural areas and you pay almost no rent at all because, or maybe you have bought the house because the house was so cheap to buy, or else you're living with a very cheap rent every month, then you probably have money in spare for a car anyway. So it balances out quite nicely. Actually, it more than balances it out. If you live in a very rural area and the rent is extremely cheap, you can buy a car, and because a car is a one-time buy and you don't really pay for it every month, other than small things, gas and so on, you actually end up saving money compared to living in the big cities without a car. And even without using public transport, you will still save money by living in these rural areas and buy a car. So easily you will have money for that. You have to be really poor to not have that, and that's okay if you are really poor, but like it will still be better or more money saving way of living to live in a rural area and have a car than live in a big city like Madrid without a car. So money should not be the problem that's keeping you from that. It's more like the city life. Is there enough city life for you, or do you need to go to the big cities very often, use your car anyway, and you could be like, why not live there? If I lived in a big city, I didn't need to use the car all the time anyway. So that's the thing you should think about. But public transport, it exists in the big cities, and the whole Costa del Sol, I will not say the whole of Andalusia. Andalusia is the biggest region of the 17 regions in Spain. So not the whole Andalusia, but on the Costa del Sol. And then a few buses go more into Andalusia, but not all the way. You need a car at some point. Or your bus system will be very bad. It will be like once a day it will go or something like that, you know. So big cities, public transport, top of the world. Small cities, non-existing. And that's like the baseline of Spain. But that's how it is in every single country in the whole